You believe the future does not exist yet, that tomorrow is unwritten, waiting to be created by choices you have not yet made. You believe the past is gone, frozen in memory, but no longer real. And you believe that right now, this moment, is the only moment that truly exists. The present, the now, the razor's edge between what was and what will be. This belief feels obvious, undeniable, as certain as the ground beneath your feet. But it is wrong. Not wrong in some poetic or metaphorical sense, wrong in a precise, measurable, physical sense. The universe does not work the way you think it does. Time does not flow. The future is not open. And the present moment you are experiencing right now is not the same present moment being experienced by someone moving relative to you. Everything you think you know about time is an illusion constructed by your brain to help you navigate a four-dimensional reality that you were never designed to comprehend. Let me show you what I mean. Wait, right now, you are reading these words. You experience yourself as existing in a single moment. Now, that is somehow separate from the past and the future. The past feels fixed like a photograph. The future feels uncertain, like a blank page. And the present feels like the only thing that is real. But here is what physics tells us, according to the equations of relativity, equations that have been tested thousands of times and have never been wrong. There is no universal now. The present moment is not a single point in time that everyone shares. It is relative. It depends on how fast you are moving. If you are standing still, and I am moving past you at high speed, we will disagree about what is happening right now at a distant star. What you consider to be happening right now, I will consider to be in the future. What I consider to be happening right now, you will consider to be in the past. We are both correct. There is no absolute present moment that covers the entire universe like a blanket. This is not a theoretical quirk. This is a measured fact about the structure of reality, and it has consequences that undermine everything you think you know about time. If the present moment is relative, if different observers carve up time differently depending on their motion, then time cannot be flowing. Time cannot be passing, because flow requires something to move through time, and time itself cannot move through time. That is circular. That is meaningless. What exists instead is something stranger, something that took physicists decades to accept, and that most people still refuse to believe. The universe is not a three-dimensional space that evolves through time. The universe is a four-dimensional block. Past, present, and future all exist simultaneously. They are all equally real, all laid out in a vast geometric structure that does not change because it contains all of time within it. You are not moving through time. You are a four-dimensional object stretched across time. And what you experience as the present moment is just one slice of that object, one cross-section. Your past self is still back there. Your future self is already up ahead. All of you exists at once, spread across the years like a sculpture stretched through the fourth dimension. This is called the block universe. And if it is true, if the equations are correct and the experiments confirm it and the logic is sound, then the future has already happened. Not in some mystical sense, in a literal, physical sense. The future exists. It is out there. It is as real as the past. And nothing you do can change it because it is already part of the structure of spacetime. This is not a comfortable thought. It suggests that free will is an illusion. That choice is an illusion. That everything you will ever do has already been determined by the initial conditions of the universe and the laws of physics. You think you are making decisions. You think you are steering your life. But you are not. You are following a path that was carved into the fabric of spacetime before you were born. Welcome to the universe, as physics describes it. Not the universe as it feels. Not the universe as we wish it to be. The universe as it actually is. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. The Earth feels stationary. You cannot feel it spinning. You cannot feel it hurtling around the sun at 30 kilometers per second. Yet it is. Your senses deceive you completely. What feels motionless is actually moving faster than a speeding bullet, and you would never know it without careful measurement. The floor beneath your feet feels solid. It feels like continuous matter, packed tight, impenetrable. But it is mostly empty space. The atoms in the floor are tiny nuclei surrounded by clouds of electrons, and the space between them is vast. If you could shrink down to the scale of an atom, you would see that solid matter is almost entirely void. Your senses construct the illusion of solidity because that is useful for survival, not because it is true. The sun appears to move across the sky. For thousands of years, humans watched the sun rise in the east, arc overhead, and set in the west, and concluded that the sun orbits the earth. The evidence of their senses was overwhelming, undeniable, except it was completely wrong. The sun does not move. We do. The earth rotates, and we rotate with it, and the motion is so smooth that we feel nothing. So when your brain tells you that time flows, that the present moment is special, that the future is not yet real, why would you trust that intuition? Why would you assume your subjective experience of time is any more reliable than your subjective experience of motion or solidity or the sun's path across the sky? We evolved to survive on the African savanna, to hunt, to gather, to avoid predators. We evolved to track the position of animals moving through three-dimensional space, to predict where a thrown rock would land, to remember where we found food yesterday so we could return tomorrow. Our brains are sophisticated pattern-matching machines optimized for survival in a specific environment at a specific scale. We did not evolve to understand spacetime. We did not evolve to comprehend the relativistic effects that occur at high velocities. We did not evolve to grasp the four-dimensional geometry of the universe. Those things were never relevant to survival. A hunter-gatherer who could intuitively understand time dilation had no advantage over one who could not. Natural selection never cared whether we understood the true nature of time. It only cared whether we could navigate the world well enough to survive and reproduce. And we can, our brains, construct a model of reality that is useful, that allows us to function, that helps us make predictions and plans. But useful is not the same as accurate. A map is useful. It helps you navigate. But a map is not the territory. It is a simplified representation, stripped of details, distorted by projection, designed for a specific purpose. Your experience of time is a map. It is a simplified, distorted, purposeful representation constructed by your brain to help you function. But it is not time itself. It is not the territory. And when we actually measure the territory, when we send atomic clocks on airplanes, when we observe particles moving at relativistic speeds, when we analyze the signals from GPS satellites, we discover that the map is wrong. Time does not behave the way it feels. Clocks moving at different speeds tick at different rates, not because the clocks are broken, because time itself passes differently depending on motion. Two identical clocks, synchronized perfectly, will fall out of sync if one moves and the other stays still. This is not theoretical, this is measured. We have to account for this effect in GPS satellites, or the system would not work. Your phone's map application relies on corrections for relativistic time dilation. The technology in your pocket would fail if the equations were wrong. And those equations tell us something disturbing. They tell us that simultaneity is relative, that now depends on the observer, that the concept of a universal present moment, the thing your brain insists is real, does not exist in the equations that describe reality. Think about what this means. If there is no universal now, then time cannot be flowing toward the future, because flow requires a universal present moment that moves. If the present is relative, carved up differently by different observers, then all those different nows must coexist. They must all be equally real. And if all moments are equally real, then past, present, and future must all exist simultaneously. The block universe is not a hypothesis. It is the logical consequence of accepting that the speed of light is constant and that the laws of physics are the same for all observers. Your intuition fights this. Your brain rejects it because your brain was built to navigate a three-dimensional world where time flows smoothly and the present moment is absolute. But the universe does not care what your brain finds intuitive. The universe is what it is. That is, in the same way, you can move from yesterday to today to tomorrow. You can remember yesterday, you can anticipate tomorrow, but you cannot change the fact that yesterday, today, and tomorrow all exist simultaneously. They are all part of spacetime. The future is not something that will exist. It already exists. It is laid out in spacetime, as real and unchangeable as the past. And the future is not empty. It is not a void waiting to be filled. It is already there, already real, already woven into the structure of the universe. You just have not experienced it yet. This is a subtle but important point. The block universe is not fatalistic. It does not say that nothing you do matters. It says that everything you do matters, because everything you do is part of the structure of reality. Your choices have consequences. Those consequences are real. They affect the world. They affect other people. They shape the future. The future is not something separate from your choices. It is the sum of your choices and everyone else's choices, and the laws of physics and the initial conditions of the universe, all woven together into a single, coherent structure. You are not a passive observer of this structure. You are an active participant. Your decisions matter because they are part of what makes the structure what it is. But there is a deeper question. If the block universe is true, if all moments are equally real, then why do we experience time as flowing? Why does it feel like the present moment is special? Why do we remember the past but not the future? The answer lies in entropy, in the second law of thermodynamics, the law that says disorder always increases. Entropy is a measure of disorder, of randomness, of the number of possible arrangements a system can have. A system with low entropy is highly ordered. Everything is in its place. A system with high entropy is disordered. Everything is mixed up. And the second law says that entropy always increases. Systems naturally evolve from order to disorder. Ice melts, perfume disperses, eggs break. You can force order back into a system. You can freeze water, collect perfume, assemble an egg, but only by expending energy and increasing entropy somewhere else. Overall, the total entropy of the universe always goes up. This is the arrow of time. The direction from past to future is the direction of increasing entropy. And the reason we experience time as flowing, the reason we remember the past but not the future, is because our brains operate according to the second law. Memories are low entropy structures. They are ordered patterns of information. To form a memory, you have to decrease entropy in your brain, and you can only do that by increasing entropy in your environment. When you remember the past, you are accessing low entropy records that were created in the past. But the future does not have low entropy records. The future is higher entropy, more disordered, less predictable. So even though the future exists in the block universe, you cannot remember it. Not because it is not there, but because the causal structure of thermodynamics prevents you from accessing it. This is not a failure of physics. This is how physics works. The arrow of time is not imposed on the universe from outside. It emerges from the statistical behavior of systems with many particles. And that behavior is baked into the block. It is part of the structure. So you experience time as flowing because you are a low entropy system embedded in a universe where entropy increases. Your consciousness moves through the block in the direction of increasing entropy. And that movement creates the sensation of time passing. But the block itself does not change. It does not evolve. It is a four-dimensional sculpture, and you are moving through it like a spotlight scanning across a stage. The stage is already there, the play is already written, but you experience it scene by scene, moment by moment, in the order determined by the arrow of time. Whether the future is open or fixed is a question for physics. Whether your life has meaning is a question for you. And that question at least remains open.